The executive director of the Port of Los Angeles says Trump's tariffs will impact shipping at the Port of Los Angeles. He expects volume will plunge 35% next week as the China tariffs take effect. And that may in turn also impact port jobs. Eyewitness News reporter Jessica De Nova live in San Pedro, where she's been speaking with concerned workers. Jessica.
There's no doubt about it at this point. This trade war is going to hit all of our pockets because even if these tariffs were to be lifted today, some global supply chain experts say, you know what, the economy needs to stabilize, and that may take a few months. And the ports of LA and Long Beach are already seeing the effects with cancellations of goods shipped here. And let's not forget that's going to mean a hit to thousands of workers here, and that'll be a trickle-down effect.
We're going to see a decrease in work. Our workforce will not be working as much as they're accustomed to working.
This is what many working in the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach are bracing for. Nearly 10,000 longshoremen, marine clerks, and foremen feeling the impact of tariffs imposed by President Trump. Both ports combined seeing nearly 60 blank sailings for the month of May. These are vessels once scheduled to bring goods here, now canceled.
We'll see how drastic this goes with the administration that we have right now.
The Port of LA alone expecting a 35% drop in imports during the first week of May year over year. Most of these goods coming from China.
Retailers and large importers are telling me directly that they've all but stopped imports from China. At 145% tariffs on those imports, that effectively means that goods coming out of China are 2.5 times more expensive than they were just last month.
This USC professor specializing in the global supply chain says even if the trade war ends today with inventory out of position, it could be months before it all stabilizes.
Are we going to run out of some things? Are we going to actually have inflation on certain things, the higher price of cost of goods sold? And we may actually run things out sooner or later, and then we're going to flood everything back to fill the shelves. So this will actually go back and forth like it did in COVID until it stabilizes. And it takes about 6 months to stabilize this sequence of things when it goes out of whack.
This is going to stop a lot of our economy right here in this area, which we go out and we support our local economy, our restaurants, our stores, youth groups for children, sports, numerous things. It's going to affect our kids here.
Port workers say they will be ready to go when these tariffs are lifted. And now let's talk about exports. We can't forget about the tariffs on those retaliatory tariffs. Gene Soroka with the Port of LA says these are hurting the American farmer. Growers and ranchers are having a hard time selling their goods because of the high cost because of these tariffs. Everyone I spoke with today say the solution is pressuring the Trump administration to lift these tariffs. Reporting live in San Pedro, Jessica De Nova, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Jessica.
Ever wondered how
There's the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. Excuse me. And many, many, many great miseries are indeed coming to Babylon and ultimately the whole world, man. But in particular, America, man. First and foremost, before I get started, I want to thank Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. And I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who teach and rule well, who taught me this truth. Salutation, brothers and sisters that are out there listening and learning, fighting this good fight of faith. And salutation to my fellow brethren that are pushing this word in all truth and sincerity. To you all, I want to say shalom. And open pray that this lesson be edifying to your elect. So as you seen in the opening clip, you know, many problems are coming from these tariffs that Trump put in to supposedly, you know, put America first and everything. And, you know, even Trump himself, you know, said that, you know, basically in so many words, Americans have to suffer, you know, for the greater good, or however he said it, you know what I mean? But, you know, a lot of reports have been coming out about empty shelves and, you know, and as they talked about in the opening clip, you know, even more jobs are going to be lost. Thousands of jobs, they were saying, at the ports alone. And remember, last year, they had the port strike. You know, that was all on the news and everything. And people were worried about that back then. Now Trump's in here, and you know he's got all these, tariffs. 100, I think it's 135 percent or 145, some crazy number on China, which is the main um, importer of goods. You know, to Babylon, man. You know, so it's gonna affect, the port workers. It's gonna affect the people in the stores, and it's definitely gonna affect the consumer, man. Because as the saying goes, shit rolls downhill. So as they um, do these things, these tariffs, they're gonna be more and more. The products are gonna be more and more pricey, and it's gonna be a domino effect. And in this article, this head of LA Port warns of incoming plunge in U.S. Supply chain, empty shelves, and inventory depletion in 5 to 7 weeks. So here we are. Today's the May 4th. So it's saying by basically beginning of June, mid-June, summertime, right around the time when the kids get out of school, it's gonna be hell. Hell on earth, man. It's gonna begin to crumble. Even more. All praise to Yahawah Bahasham for that, man. So it says Gene Soroka, the executive director of the Port of LA, was interviewed by Bloomberg News today, laying out a disturbing timeline of supply chain disruptions, empty shelves, and retail shock that has already been set in motion. Importantly, this is already baked in and cannot be avoided. So even as they said in the video, even if Trump was to stop it right now, the tariffs, it would still take months to basically reset back to the way it was before he imposed them, because now, the amount of time that it takes for China to fill the shipping containers and send them over, and and all that, to order, them to order stuff and all that type of stuff. It takes months. And there's been reports of, China sending empty containers, man. So, and I always, bring this story out from time to time. When I used to work at a Stop and Shop, I had talked to a truck driver, and he said, every the store, like any given supermarket, only has about 3 days worth of food in there. That's why the truck comes, pretty much 2 times a week. Every 3 to 4 days, a new truck will come and drop off more goods. So he said, all if one truck doesn't come, or one shipment, it's easy for the store to become empty, especially if there's, we're up here in New England, if there's a a snowstorm warning or some kind of, something that makes the people panic, and they go and panic buy, that accelerates obviously the process, man. So the system is very fragile, man. So it's very quickly everything can go to chaos. Let me get the scripture. In the second Ezra 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So it's not really hard to see if you're paying attention. How everything operates, like the logistics of things in this, stores and shipping and all that. Just a basic knowledge of it, to see how quickly shit can go into chaos, man. And that's what's happening. So it says the lag times of goods being shipped from China allows us to accurately project upcoming retail inventory depletion based on the plunging cargo volumes inbound to ports like LA. While many Americans, including many Trump supporters are still in a state of total denial about the coming shortages, I asked my in-house AI engine to analyze Gene Soroka's interview and piece together a timeline of events we're all we are all about to endure. So let's see. So I just want to read through, some of these. He has a pretty lengthy, but I kind of want to just skim through it, because these all line up with prophecy too, man. So to start off, it says timeline of supply chain disruptions in the U.S. immediate, next 1 to 2 weeks, mid-May. Sharp drop in import volume, a 30% decline in incoming shipments, 50,000 fewer containers, begins hitting U.S. ports, exacerbating existing backlogs, delays in unloading due to manpower shortages at docks and trucking networks worsen. So just already off rip is gonna be, this guy's saying that he believes that it's gonna start quickly. Retailer reaction: CEOs freeze imports, hiring, and capital investments due to uncertainty. Retailers warn of price hikes 10% or more to offset rising costs. Right. So there's plenty of scriptures that come to mind, but let me get this one up first. The shortage of workers. Because all this is prophecy, man. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? So the economists, right? And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, right? And that's going into the jobs, man. Because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened, man. Showing people, not seeing no future here, because there is no future here, man. Babylon is through, man. As the scriptures say, this place is out of here, man. Isaiah 14:11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, right, brought low, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. And worms represent decay, man. And this place is completely decaying in every way, shape, and form. Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi breaking this place down brick by brick. Morally, socially, economically, it's not spiritual at all. This place is wicked. But even in that aspect, people don't have no hope. Outside of the hopeful elect, people are through out here, man. People aren't happy the way they used to be. Isaiah 24:8, the mirth. Let me see. Isaiah 24:7, the new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. When I had a conversation with a lady yesterday, I do deliveries and stuff, and she was just talking to me about how the price of food is so expensive, and she just looks for simple things just to make her smile nowadays. It's not like it used to be when she was younger. And that's exactly what it is, man. This place is completely dying out right before our eyes, man. As the scriptures say in Jeremiah 51, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her. This place is through, man. And it's only getting worse. And DJ Trump is accelerating the downfall of this place, man. This nigga is a super cancer to Babylon, man. All praise to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, man. It says, a new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of the tabret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth. The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with a song, strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. And that's the time that we're in, man. This place is out of here, man. It says 3 to 4 weeks out, early June. Visible shelf shortages. Chinese made goods, 80% of Walmart like inventories begin running out of as pre existing shipments are depleted. Spot shortages emerge for high demand items, electronic seasonal goods like spring summer fashion. So all that shit's going out the window. Transportation slowdown. Truckers see reduced loads, 4 to 5 containers, 2 to 3, cutting into wages. Dock workers lose overtime, shifting to below standard work weeks, further slowing operations. So it's a domino effect, man. 5 to 7 weeks out, mid to late June, extending into July. Critical inventory depletion. Retailers exhaust 5 to 7 weeks of normal stockpiles. Empty shelves become widespread. So the back, like when you go into, your Targets, your Walmarts, or Costco's or whatever, they have a back area, where they have the what do you call it, extra, for a lack of a better word, where they have their extra goods or whatever, that they can continue their backstock. There it goes, their backstock, where they can continue to keep the shelf full as people buy it. The workers go into the back and grab a pallet or two and come fill, they take all the water, they go back and grab another pallet, fill the water back up, and do that with all the different goods, juices, and whatever, produce and what have you. So this right here, after a certain amount of time, they're not going to be able to keep the shelves at least appear full, right? Because I learned, and when I worked at Stop and Shop in high school, they have a thing called facing. So when people go to the grocery store, it looks nice and full, even though if you go to a lot of stores now already, for example, the cereal aisle, they'll have the boxes all lined up, faced up, all the way to the edge, so it looks full. But as soon as you take one, you can see that there's nothing behind it. It's just an empty ass shelf. It's just they have the wall to make it look and appear full. So it's like a psychological thing with people, that they feel comfortable because there's food still there. But the opposite obviously would be panic, because if they walk in and there's like just shit on the shelves, it's nothing, fucking spider webs, people are going to begin to start panic and worry, and at the times that we're coming into, it's already too late, man. It's already too late. This is why, the warning keeps going out to you Israelites, man, to seek Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi before the evil days come, man. Matter of fact, let me get that. That was in, where was that? Not Isaiah. Ecclesiastes. There we go. 12:1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So remember Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Come back to your power before the evil days come, because they are definitely soon to hit, man. Let's see. It says back to school items, a political flashpoint. Face shortages if no resolution is reached. Economic spillover. Inflation spikes as scarcity drives up prices. Unemployment rises in logistics, trucking, warehouses due to reduced trade volume. So this is furthering the collapse of Babylon, man. This great reset button that they're pushing towards. You have these blackouts happening across the world. banks, there was just a Citibank a couple days ago. Their services went down for a period of time. So they're preparing for all this, and the goal is to have everybody ultimately on that MO to the TB, man. But this UBI, Universal Basic Income, because there's no jobs, there's robots, AI are taking all the jobs. That was the whole thing with the part of um the shipping Slovakia, the port strike, last year, was that AI, those robots were taking their jobs, man. And now here we are. Look at this. Now the jobs are still going, and even faster. So they're gonna get them all the people out of there, and then they're just gonna have the robots do it because it's gonna be cheaper and more efficient. And then they're just gonna have people, stuck at home and having to wait for Uncle Sam, Esau, Daddy Esau, to give them money, man, to survive, man, which is part of their plan, because in order to continue on in society, ultimately you're gonna have to have that CHIP, and they're bringing people down so low that people are gonna beg them for it, man. That's that's where everything's headed, man. Let's see. It says, if no deal, worst case scenario projections based on the transcript: ocean freight collapse, shipments from China could drop 100%, paralyzing global trade. So nothing coming in. Empty shelves, rampant theft, and social unrest in urban areas, man. And that's why, they show that in these movies all the time, man. That the worst places to be are in the city, man. And I was explaining this to my wife, a couple months ago, and she, asked me, why is that? And I said, well, think about it. I mean, you got so many people condensed into a small area, so all these mouths to feed. You have these, the projects. You have the condos, the apartment buildings, and houses, right next to each other, neighborhoods. Thousands of people within the vicinity. Quick, bike ride, 5-10 minute bike ride, you can pass, hundreds of people, in their houses and what have you, man. And in each house, there might be 2, 6, people in it, 2 to 6, 2, 4, 6, whatever, 5 people. So if you got all these people around you going through a similar calamity like what's coming with food shortages and item shortages and all that, that's when second Ezra 15 is really gonna kick in, and I'll get that in a second. I just want to kind of skim through this a little bit. Empty shelves, rampant theft, and social unrest in urban areas. Inflation spirals, businesses halt expansion, and unemployment spreads beyond logistics. So it just keeps going. Global domino effect. Disruptions would quickly extend beyond China, Mexico, Canada, Southeast Asia. Political pressure, back to school shortages could force government intervention to avert a full-blown crisis. So you see it, man. And it keeps getting worse. 8 to 12 weeks out in August. So this is just during the summer, man. If this continues throughout the summer, by the time it's time for kids to go back to school in September, this shit could be completely a whole different country, man. It says black markets and thefts. It says 8 to 12 weeks out, August, societal breakdown begins. Black markets and thefts surge. Looting increases in urban areas as desperation grows. Underground resale markets for electronics, medicine, and tools emerge. I mean, it's literally everything that they show in in the movies, man. You know, when you got the black market, you got, you know, like I like to play this game, The Last of Us, you know, and you know, at the beginning, the main character was he was like a smuggler or whatever. This is after it's a zombie game, so this is after, you know, society had already broke down and all that. So, you know, for regular goods, they had a somewhat of a bartering system, but it was, you know, everything sold pretty much on the black market. That was like how everything was bought and sold. There was no conventional stores anymore, none of that. You know what I'm saying? So you know, that's the world that it's that's the way this world is headed, man. It says 13 to 16 weeks out, desperation sets in, food and medicine shortages, pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, vitamins, generics, excuse me, run low. China supplies 80% of U.S. drug ingredients. Look at that. Grocery stores ration canned goods, rice, and frozen foods. Many rely on Chinese packing. So, hey, man, civil unrest, riots erupt in major cities over food and supply shortages. Military may be deployed to secure ports and distribution centers. Excuse me. Government rations essential goods, fuel, medicine, and food, man. So just like I said, just like the movies show, man. And this reminds me of Second Ezra 15, man. And I'll start at 12. Egypt shall mourn. Second Ezra 15 and 12. Egypt shall mourn, and this is spiritual Egypt. You know, Babylon is modern day or spiritual Sodom and Egypt, man. It says Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, right? So, you know, as they said in that opening clip in the report, you know, the not only the tariffs on imports, but also the tariffs on exports, which is hurting the farmers, man, because they're not able to sell their goods like that. So, you know, they're you know, wasting crops and different things of that nature, man. They're not able to make money, right? So it says, they that till the ground, the farmers, shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful consolation. And also, you know, with the different, you know, weather patterns that have been having, and that's also been affecting the farmers, man. So you have all types of calamity headed to a city near you, man. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe means destruction. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And you could already see how that's happening, man. You know, this place is completely divided in every way, shape, and form, man. You know, you're gonna have race wars, you're gonna have class wars. You know, you're gonna have people fighting because of food, territory, goods in general. You know, there's all types of evil that's coming, and you're talking about a city where people dwelleth without care, man. So people are just so used to not having a struggle even a little bit, especially Esau, that they're gonna lose their minds. And that's going to lead to all-out chaos, man. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So that, you know, they're not going to care what the governor has to say anymore, or the mayor, or these different politicians, or even Trump, man. You know, when people have nothing to lose, they lose it, as they say, man. You know, and that's the desperate times that they're coming with, and this is the chaos that these devils want to cause, or that they're about to cause, so that they can come in with the solution, which is ultimately that MO to the TB, man. You know, problem, reaction, solution, man. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? So once the people start, you know, rioting and having civil unrest, it says the military may be deployed to secure ports and distribution centers, government rations, essential goods, fuel, medicine, and food. So that already makes the, what's the word I'm looking for? That makes it, Salakia. I'll just say it makes it possible or justifiable. There you go. It makes it justifiable for the military to be on the street because people are going crazy and they got to establish some kind of order. So that's how you can get, troops, on the street, walking up and down with tanks. And, we already seen a couple years ago, they were moving Humvees around and tanks and all around Babylon, all around America, on the different trains, lines after line after line of Humvees and military apparatus, man. That's going to be used, man. And that's for these times that we're coming into, man. All this chaos is upon us, man. So once again, seek Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi while he may be found. It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, man. And that's the time that we're coming into, man. We are coming into some very, very evil times, man. And the only way to escape is to have Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi on your side, man. Permanent economic damage, millions unemployed as factories, retail, and logistics collapse if no deal is reached beyond 16 weeks. So that's only 4 months out, man. 4 months. So by the time fall hits, this if this continues on, the way it's been going, hey, this whole country, as it will be completely different. I mean, hey, we just seen with the CV how much or how easily they can change everything. Shit with 9/11. You can't, you used to be able to just get on a plane like you was able to get onto a bus or the train. Not anymore. Not after that shit. Now it's a whole fucking process. You gotta damn near strip fucking naked just to go through TSA. And so, hey, these devils, are very crafty in their wickedness, man. But it's all through the spirit and power of Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi who's controlling them, man. Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi gave these Egyptians over to a cruel lord. Isaiah 19:4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts, man. Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi of hosts, of armies, man. So Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi are controlling these devils and making them, do these things for prophecy's sake, man. So for you sincere brothers and you few sisters, man, continue to watch as well as pray, because, hey, these devils are coming down with great wrath. They're going to continue to come down with great wrath because they know that they have but a short time, man. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to report on this, blow the trumpet, stay prayed up, Akim, be circumspect, because the days are indeed evil. I hope and pray that this lesson was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to thank Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi for putting the spirit on me to push the button. And I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi by Shem Rakakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of GMS who teach and rule well, who taught me this truth. Salutations, you brothers and sisters that are out there listening and learning, fighting this good fight of faith. Keep fighting, keep striving, keep pushing almost out of this bitch. And salutations, my fellow brethren that are pushing this word in all truth and sincerity. To you all, I want to say shalom. I want to say abab babal and kwam yasharala. Hey, shalom. To the next one.